We are putting on the farm attire and getting ready to go harvest sweet potatoes. We really hope this year's harvest is as good, if not better, than last year. Kind of highly doubt it. Last year was awesome. Somebody load up on the mule. That looks good, them shorts and them boots.
I know it. Favorite outfit.
I match.
Do we need bee suits?
Don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. I guess if we start getting stung.
Ooh, I don't like that plan.
You don't like that plan? Don't wait till you get stung.
You go first. All right, so here is what it looks like.
A growed up mess.
Pretty growed up, but they are actually thriving in there. So we're gonna get busy.
All right, after we planted the sweet potatoes, we got a shipment in from Stark Brothers fruit trees and this muscadine vine, and we also got a grapevine. I'm gonna go ahead and leave the billboard tarps down around them. So I'm gonna cut a square out and we're gonna leave down around these so we don't have to weed as much.
Look at these humps we're uncovering. That is like at least a foot high. So I have hopes there's lots of sweet potatoes under there. So we are just uncovering these, getting these sweet potato vines off, thrown over here to the sheep, and then we can get rid of the bricks and bags and everything holding these tarps down so we can pull the tarps up. And that one looks like it's royalty. I threw the vines accidentally on top of it and she's just carrying her supper around. Got a purple plant right here and an orange plant right here, and you can see they are intertwined together. The purple has grown all the way over there and intertwined with it. Crazy. This one looks like a heart.
It's bigger than a heart.
Like a legit heart.
Uh-huh.
Like a legit heart, not like a shape.
Yeah.
Like a aorta.
Look at the ends. Look at these.
Okay, like a pulmonary chamber. Moving tarps out of the way. Getting them loaded up. Got a lot more to go, but we're picking up what we can see on top of the ground. You can see the kids down through there picking them up. Then we're gonna hook up a plow and plow down through there. It's day 2 on these sweet potatoes. We got too hot yesterday, wound up quitting for the night. They were fine in the ground. We're back out here and at it. We are gonna get them dug. We're gonna get it cleaned up over here and complete this job.
just tilling in where we plowed it up.
So let's talk a little about sweet potatoes. They are one of our favorite things to grow here on the farm. They're generally pest-free, they're very low maintenance, especially if you plant them on a ground cover. You don't even have very much weeding to do. They're just a super low maintenance crop. You can plant them late spring and you can pretty much expect a harvest late summer or early fall. And you can even leave them in the ground after a light frost and just get them out of the ground before a hard frost. The great thing about it is they like it sunny and hot, and watering is not really essential. In fact, we did not water these over there one time. They got some regular rainfalls, but you really just don't have to water them. The thing that will slow their growth down, you can still get a good harvest out of them, but the thing that will slow it down and maybe make your potatoes not quite as big is cool weather. They're not a fan of cool weather. So it's a great thing to grow here in our zone. We're in zone 7B. Like I said, you can grow them in cooler climates. You just might not get as big of a harvest. One thing to consider also is sweet potatoes like to be trellised. You can see ours grew along the ground, but they do great on a trellis, and here's why. When we went to cut those to get them off the ground cover so we could pull that up and harvest them, we had a gazillion places that they had rooted themselves into the ground, even through the ground cover. If you trellis them, there's only one place that you have to find and clip off to get the vines off, and then you only have one spot potatoes are growing, as opposed to we had a lot of places where they had rooted themselves in the ground and had small potatoes, as to opposed to one spot growing very large potatoes. So you can actually start harvesting your sweet potatoes anytime after the tubers have started to form. So late summer you can start checking, and then you can always leave them a little longer because they will continue to grow. A couple of things I want to tell you guys about sweet potatoes. You cannot pull on sweet potatoes and yank them up out of the ground like you can regular potatoes, white potatoes and red potatoes. A lot of times when you pull on a regular potato plant, most, if not all, the potatoes come up with it. And if they don't, you can just start digging and easily pull them up. But sweet potatoes are a different story. If you go to start yanking on that vine, all you're gonna do is break the vine off, and then you're gonna probably have a struggle figuring out where to start digging. Or, like in the case of ours, we have pretty loose soil under there, so ours pretty much grow right there on top of the ground. But if you start yanking on the vine, you're gonna pull the potatoes in half. They're fairly delicate. You will mess their skin up, and you will pull some in half, and then once you do, all is not lost, but those just don't store quite as well when they've been cut or broken apart or something like that. So if your soil is not as loose, you can definitely dig them up with a garden knife, a soil knife, a shovel, something like that. Just be careful and make a pretty wide swath around where you see the little potatoes, because they could be a pretty big hole of potatoes. And if you just start shoveling down into the ground, you're likely to hit some and split them in half. So last year, if you've been around here for a while, you guys know that we had an awesome harvest of sweet potatoes, but they did not store well. So we have been doing a lot of research on storing and curing sweet potatoes before storage in anticipation of this harvest, because we want it to last as long as possible. So one way to do that is simply to can them, although you're going to want to cure them for a bit before you even do that. But that is one way to preserve a lot of types of food so that you have food security for the winter. But let's say you don't want to can them, you just want to store them and eat them as fresh sweet potatoes. Well, for the first 10 days after you've dug them, they need to cure. So there's a couple ways to do that. I'm going to take you guys and show you what we're doing. But if you don't have our setup, you can always take plastic grocery sacks and poke a few holes in them and put like a single layer down in the bag, tie it closed, and put them in a warm, sunny window and leave them there for about 10 days. If it gets a little drafty or the sun's not shining by your window, you can always just throw a towel or blanket over them. You really want them warm and moist or humid. That is going to kick off their sugar production as well as thicken up their skins. Their skins are very thin and delicate when you dig them, as well as heal any spots that were damaged during harvesting. The ideal conditions this may blow your mind, it blew mine, is 85 degrees at 85% humidity. That is warm and muggy. So that's the point of putting them in the bags. Build that humidity up. That is what is going to cure them. So it's a little dark in here, I realize. This is in our garage. This is where we have our stored, and we went ahead and picked up even all of the little skinny tubers, the roots, because we can sprout those for future plants. We can feed those to pigs, and then we also got these awesome big ones we can eat off of as well. Look at these monsters. So we have these curing in our garage. Which means if we don't run a little window unit in the summer, it gets very hot and humid in here. So we've got the air off. We're gonna let it build up and get warm and humid. This is gonna be about the perfect place for us to cure in. Not to mention, if you can see that right there, that is our dryer vent, which I don't hardly ever use the dryer, but I could turn that on and build the humidity up in here if I need to. So after those 10 days, you're gonna move them to a cool place, ideally about 55 to 60 degrees for the next 6 weeks. And in our case, we will probably just turn that little window unit on and get it cooled down in there for about 6 weeks. And then they will be at optimal peak conditions. Throughout that 6 weeks of 55 to 60 degrees, they're gonna continue to sweeten. They're gonna continue to thicken their skin in anticipation for storage. And so, like I said, after 6 weeks, peak condition, you can start eating them freely and enjoying them. You can eat them now, but they're just gonna improve and improve and improve over the time that you cure them. And then if you keep them in ideal conditions, like 55 degrees, 60% humidity, no light, somewhere like a basement or a root cellar or something, they should easily store for 6 months, hopefully even longer than that. We have had sweet potatoes we harvested, and then we were still eating on them when we harvested again the next fall. So if you cure them right, they will last. This last year we just didn't, because we put them in a different building. I think we didn't know we were curing them. Honestly, we've done so much research this year. I think we were like accidentally curing them, and they've just been lasting so awesome. So we're going back to what worked, hoping these last. Hope that gives you guys some helpful tips on growing sweet potatoes and preserving your harvest. So I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a really happy harvest this year. God bless.